Hi, everyone. Today we're going to talk about the need of constant validation and how some employees have that glitch and how that can negatively impact how you are perceived by upper management, even if you do an outstanding job in your business. So let's talk a little bit about that today. And in these video series, there's going to be a lot of things that I share with you, looking at different perspectives on an issue, so that if you're starting out in your career or near the entry level positions, sometimes you'll be asked to do things or you'll have expectations that maybe your upper management doesn't give to you. And that can cause a lot of bitterness and disgruntledness in your job, and can also cause burnout. But sometimes, if you can understand the perspective of your leadership, then that will take a little bit of the personal sting out of it, and then you could see it for what it really is. So today we're going to break down that ego flaw that some people have, where they need to have constant validation. And that is a really draining, it's actually a form of energy vampirism. And it's not fun to see in a staffer. And even, like I said, if you have great numbers, great growth, and everything else, that personality type is so taxing on upper management whenever there's a restructuring or, layoffs or things considered. You may be put in the category of restructuring and then being phased out of that job in favor of someone who's going to be a high performer and not ask a lot emotionally of their leadership. Because it's not always just about numbers, although obviously numbers are important. So we need retention, we need you to meet your sales goals and all of those wonderful things that may be attributed to your job. But at the same time, your attitude and the energy you bring to the job will really help you stand out, because high performers are everywhere, right? And most people understand that in order to have longevity in a job and success, they need to perform well. So now what's going to differentiate you from other top performers? And many top performers are performers because they love validation. And if the job well done or the sale isn't enough for you, if you need the constant cheerleading, from your upper management, that is going to make you a taxing individual to have to deal with. So let's talk a bit about that. That is coming from a place of insecurity. If you're constantly needing to feel validated, that is because you intrinsically are feeling insecure, and you receive your ego fulfillment from how other people react to you. So you're not self-actualized in yourself. So if you know that you did an outstanding job, that should be enough. And I'm not saying that management shouldn't acknowledge, good performers, and people shouldn't be thanked and recognized for the good work they do. But when it's a constant, and after every good thing you do, you expect a standing ovation, energetically, that becomes a drag over time. Because you know what? I don't pay you to be mediocre. I pay you to be outstanding, which means I expect outstanding work 7 days a week. And not just one day and then I celebrate you that day. I expect you to be outstanding because that's who you are, and not because you need me to parade that in order for you to continue being that. So I'll give you an example. I worked at the Ontario Food Terminal, at a company in that terminal, and it was really grueling. And I remember when I had my interview, I expect the interview questions to be the same as everyone else. Do you do Microsoft Word? How many, words do you type a minute? And instead, those weren't the questions. The first question out of her mouth was, do you cry easily? If someone screams at you, can you still do your job? And it turns out that the salesmen that ran that business, were all these gruff Italian old men. And I was raised by a gruff Italian old man. So I know fully that I am not going to get applauded every time I do something good. And I was warned when I was hired. Don't expect employee of the month shit. Don't expect, winning gift cards because you came to work on time. This job, you earn it. And when no one's complaining at you, that's how you know you've done a good job. So if you don't hear anything, no news is good news in this business. So don't expect, validation. Your validation's in your paycheck. And if you do a really good job, I'll make sure you get the best shifts. And that's about where it ends there. And then the validation I did get were in little things, like the salesman bringing me coffee in the morning, you know what I mean? Or, bringing me a sandwich, or let me go to the store and get you French fries, feed me. You want to show me that you love me, feed me. So the old Italian men knew that that's what they had to do for me. And I did not expect all that validation constantly. Whenever I did something outstanding, that was normal. That was a Tuesday. So I didn't expect to be validated every time I did something good because, frankly, all I ever did was good in that business. And I knew it. In my heart, I knew that I was the queen bee of that place. So I didn't need anybody to tell me that. And I certainly didn't need to bother my bosses with my feelings. The fact that they paid me, the fact that I wasn't getting laid off, that was good enough for me. And my bosses appreciated that because they didn't have to babysit me. They didn't have to worry about my feelings because they were already inundated with every other whining person in the place and their own drama. And now that I am in executive management, I see how emotionally taxing this job is. And every call I get is a problem. This isn't a happy job when you're at the top. The top is, by the time the problem gets to you, it's a raging fire. So it's never a fun phone call you get. So I'm already trying to hold myself together without having to worry that I put enough exclamation marks at the end of the thank you in order for you to get enough whatever from it. You know what I mean? So that's a really, really big issue. And this is something that I see all the time in business, where employees, if they're not constantly being validated or celebrated after every good thing that they do, that they don't feel appreciated or they feel taken for granted. And that is unfair. We expect to be treated in business the same way we parent. So every time your kid colors within the line, it's a big deal. Every painting is the best painting. Every whatever is the best thing. And so we expect that we're going to receive that same enthusiasm in the workplace, and that is unfair to put on your boss. Your boss keeps you hired. That's the validation you need, that you still have your job. So do an outstanding job, give it your all, and let that be enough, and know intrinsically that that's enough. And when you have that positive, great attitude every single day, where you're indispensable, you can see when you're indispensable without your boss having to say it all the time. If you're the one they're always calling to fix things, if you're the one they depend on, if you're the one that's the point person, that is the compliment. So to have them have to, what do you want? A thank you card every single time? Do you want them to write you a love letter at least once a week? And I remember working with a support person that I actually did an experiment with her, because I noticed the morning would start okay, but then by like mid-afternoon, she would start to hang her head and whatever. So then I did an experiment. Every single morning at about 10:30, 11, I would go up to her and go out of my way to say something wonderful to her. And then when I did, she was incredibly productive and peppy and did twice the productivity she would any other day. Now you would think, great, so you found her motivation thing and now you know how to motivate her. But is that really, when I look at that personality as an employer, do I sit there and go, wow, I love her for that? And now is that one more to-do that she just put on my plate? That if I don't remember to go to her at 11 o'clock every day and sing her praises, that she's going to be a miserable, unproductive drip for the rest of the day. That does not make me celebrate her as an employee. What makes me celebrate an employee is someone who does a great job because that's what they do, and not because they need me to celebrate it every single time. So some of my staff will say, well, Daniela is really tough to work for. Yeah, I am. And I expect excellence all the time. And my love for you is shown in different ways. I give my staff a lot of freedom. I don't say you have to be here at 9 o'clock and you have to stay until 3 o'clock and you need to prove to me that you made 40 phone calls today. No. I have goals I want you to meet in this business. And as long as you meet those goals, I don't care when you do it, how you do it. I don't care if you're answering phone calls while you're sitting in a park staring at a flower, as long as you do a great job. So I give a lot of freedom in exchange. I give a lot of support in exchange. I charge thousands of dollars for my consulting, but anybody that works for me gets this brain for free. That's just the way. So that's how I give back. So to put emotional coddling as what you need in order to stay motivated as an employee will actually make you an emotional drag on your boss. So if you want to be indispensable, and being indispensable is what guarantees you job security on the long term, then what you need to do is not add emotional stress or an emotional to-do on your boss. If you want to show that you're an exceptional employee, be exceptional all the time because that's who you are, and not because you have an expectation of XYZ, accolades in order to keep being exceptional. Be exceptional because you don't know how to do anything else. That's what will make you shine in business. Have a great day.